Salt and Light Community Story, Mark Ingman, September 6, 2020.
Hi, good morning. This is called Blueberry Bushes. For those of you who I haven't met yet, I'm Mark Ingman, and also on the Zoom with us is Jess, Isaiah, and Jude. Before we were up here in Washington, we lived in Northeast Portland across from Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary School. Levin Community has been with us in our exploration of what it means to live out our faith in community and beyond. I want to share a story today that's a small example of the intersection of ecological and racial justice for our family right outside our doorsteps. It was 2015, and although I had not yet officially begun urban farming and garden coaching, I decided we needed to rip up the front lawn so we could grow more food. Many of you may know the feeling. It was yellow, weedy lawn. The soil was dry and it didn't seem particularly great. As I peeled back the grass and dug deeply, I found the burnt stumps that were from giant conifer forests that stood before the arrival of white settlers. Some neighbors curiously watched, and others told me I was going to need a better shovel. I planted collards, kale, beans, corn, flowers, and most importantly, 5 blueberry bushes prominently near the sidewalk. We added mulch, water, fertilizer, and in time, bees and other pollinators returned. Kids from the school were picking blueberries, and more neighbors were stopping by to talk with us. The blueberry bushes became a place of encounter, a place to listen to the land and listen to our neighbors. And to be honest, it was complicated. King neighborhood had once been filled with Black homeowners due to redlining, disinvestment, and other racist practices in Portland. We were another white family that had moved into a gentrifying neighborhood, benefiting from the recent economic investment on Alberta Street. At the Blueberry Bush, we listened to a Black man who was justifiably angry. He grew up in the neighborhood, and he was just visiting, only to find yet again another white person had bought a home previously owned by a Black family. At the Blueberry Bush, we also met Kenny, who worked at Martin Luther King Elementary and invited us to participate in courageous conversations on race. At the school, students were identified as 40% Black, 30% Latinx, 15% multiracial, 13% white, and over 88% qualify for free or reduced price lunch. Given this racial and economic background, it's not a surprise the school had also been historically underserved and students continued to deal with racism, food insecurity, and other pressures. Uncovering the charred conifer root beneath the front lawn had been like touching a deep wound. Listening to our neighbors was sometimes like touching a deep wound. And while there was hard conversations, there were many that I recall from friends and family of the Kent family who lived at the home before us. They wanted to share fond memories of their time as kids playing cards on the back porch, and also how they appreciated the way the house and the yard were being cared for when so many older homes previously owned by Black families were being torn down by developers. Some went as far to walk through the house with me. We continued to cultivate collards, kale, beans, corn, flowers, and blueberries and be in our front yard, building relationships if people were open to talking and also sitting with the painful realities too. I would later to go on to pursue organic farming, work as a farm assistant with Village Gardens Food Works Farm, an organization in North Portland where youth of color grow fresh, organic food on Sauvie Island to bring back to their neighborhood that has historically been a food desert. It was here that I learned from Chris, Ev, Wasangalo, and others about the importance of food sovereignty, the traits of white supremacy that are the backdrop to our nation's agricultural system, both past and present. There's so much more we need to do, and as painful as these wounds can be, these broken places are the starting point of any sort of justice or reparations or healing. And perhaps what I want to emphasize most today is that these wounds and the new life that come from them are inextricably linked. The Western white mind often operates in an insulated way that sees climate change as just another problem of exploiting natural resources with a technical solution that is not much more than solar panels and electric cars. But the resources and all of us are inextricable. As Randy Woodley shared last week, and indigenous communities have long understood, humans and nature are inseparable and part of one larger reality. One, not two. Climate change is showing us there has been an unconscious and conscious carrying forward of this unnatural separation and devastating exploitation of our Black, Indigenous, people of color, siblings, and the earth. All of the systems that got us into this mess thrive on concealing the truth of our relationships and continuing this fragmentation. In the words of Wendell Berry, quote, "Things that belong together have been taken apart, and you can't put it all back together again. What you can do is the only thing that you can do. You take two things that ought to be together and you put them back together." This isn't folksy or romanticized view of, say, the rustic countryside or the past. This is exactly how to combat climate change at its core going forward. Getting in touch with a small piece of land where we live, your yard or a park. Embracing and participating in the living systems that are under our feet, the soil. Even bringing two small things together like blueberry bushes and neighborhood kids. Our exploitive and racist systems only exist through keeping us separate from each other and from the land. We do the work of dismantling these systems when we do exactly the opposite. When we grow new and expanding relationships with each other and the land, usually at the same time, as no surprise, because the two are really one.
So Mark, you want to tell us about this picture we're looking at?
Yeah, that's just a picture. Behind the sunflowers, among other flowers, are the blueberry bushes that the kids probably, who knows, right today are picking at their free choosing on the way to the park or wherever they may be going. But that's where the yellow lawn was and the house that we've taken care of.
Thank you, Mark.